Hi there. Today we're in Sydney in Australia and we're at Circular Quay and we're going to be catching a ferry across to Watson's Bay, which is right out by the mouth of Sydney Harbour. The ferry system's a great way to get around Sydney. You can catch the ferry just about anywhere on the harbour. You just use your credit card to tap on and off, no need to buy a ticket. We'll be taking this ferry from Circular Quay, don't say Quay, it's Quay, all the way out to Watson's Bay. The trip takes about 25 minutes and makes one stop along the way, which is at Rose Bay, the old flying boat, Catalina flying boat base. I must say, it does seem a little chaotic boarding, but there's plenty of room once we get on board. Sydney ferries are for the most part modern and convenient, frequent and fast, and if you have to get to the other side of the harbour, there's no way that's better than the actual ferry. But of course, as a tourist, you get a wonderful free sightseeing tour across the harbour where you can see the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the Opera House and everything in between. So we back out of the pier here at Circular Quay and do a 180 degree turn, and then off we go. On the starboard or right hand side we have the Sydney Opera House, and on the left the Sydney Harbour Bridge and a gigantic ocean liner. A cruise ship, should I say, not an ocean liner. There's a real capacity constraint at Circular Quay. The ferries from here go everywhere around the harbour, and the ferries actually queue up to get in here. There's only 5 or 6 piers, I think, used by the ferries, and they go all over the harbour. So we get some wonderful views of the Sydney Harbour Bridge on the left-hand side as we head out. These ferries really scoot along, don't they? I think we take around 25 minutes to go the 10 kilometres or 6.5, 7 miles out to Watson's Bay, and that's including one stop. This island on the left is Fort Denison. I don't know if the island itself has a name, but everyone knows it as Fort Denison. Of course, Sydney Harbour is a working harbour. It's not just a tourist site, and there's a huge amount of commercial traffic that goes through the harbour. After about 12 to 13 minutes, we come to our first stop, which is Rose Bay. I think I mentioned earlier that this is the stop where they used to fly Catalina flying boats into and out of. And there's a restaurant here called the Catalina, which would make a great lunch stop if you had the time. This stop is been refurbished and is easy access if you are challenged for mobility. So there's ramps to go on and off and no stairs. the Catalina restaurant there on the starboard side. Well worth stopping off for lunch sometime. Very short hop from Rose Bay to Watson's Bay. You just go around Shark Beach. What a name for a beach, but anyway, just around Shark Beach, straight into Watson's Bay. At this point, we're about 10 kilometres or 6.5 miles from the city CBD. And it's very much more relaxed than the city. So the pier at Watson's Bay hasn't been modernised at all, and it's not really friendly if you're mobility challenged. So there are some steps here to go up if you want to get off here. There's also the Doyles restaurant where we're going to have lunch. Now on the map there's a ferry shown from Watson's Bay to Manly, and you'd think it'd make a good triangular route between the CBD, Manly and Watson's Bay, but that's not the case. There is no ferry from Watson's Bay to Manly, at least not operated by Transport New South Wales. We sat outside the entire trip, but there are all these seats inside as well if you don't want to sit out in the sun or if it's raining outside, so you can do this trip in any sort of weather. These are the steps I was talking about. They're not particularly steep or anything, but if you're in a wheelchair or some other mobility issues, you may not be able to get up these steps. So just bear that in mind. If you do want to go walking or hiking from Watson's Bay, though, there are plenty of places where you can go. So this is a promontory where you can go to neighbouring beaches, and there's also a park nearby with cliffs and everything. So some nice hiking around this area. You can see this from this shot of Google Earth that you can walk up to Camp Cove, to the top left there, or to the cliffs. We're just going to have lunch though at Doyle's Fisherman's Wharf, which is a legendary institution. They have all sorts of offerings of fried fish and chips and chicken nuggets, etc., but oysters and lobster and mussels and squid and lots of different dishes. I must say, though, that I wasn't impressed with the service here, and it just seemed a little chaotic.
B13?
You can order your food here at the takeaway and then just go around to the pier and just eat in the sit-down area. There's no extra charge for this, so it's a pretty comfortable way to have some fish and chips. The quality of the fried fish was absolutely excellent, very tasty, and highly recommended. The chips, however, were just awful, just horrible, soggy, just disgusting, really. And we figured out what to do with the chips a little later. But the fish was just superb. So as I said previously, we've figured out what to do with the chips. The trip back is just the reverse of the trip out here. The ferry leaves every 30 minutes and is very regular, so you don't need to plan in advance or book or anything like that. And again, it's a very easy trip back to the CBD. The space on the top deck is very limited. I was lucky enough to score a seat up here for the return trip, so I think there's only about 24 seats up here, and the crew are very strict in terms of everyone having to be seated. This is the Manly ferry, the old, slower Manly ferry, which is the one I prefer. It's a huge ferry. There's also a faster one, but this is the old, slow one. In addition to the large ferries that go to Manly, there's all these little ferries that shoot around Sydney Harbour as well, and they can be a lot of fun. So that completes our lunch trip over to Watson's Bay. Just took 3 to 4 hours all up to go over there for lunch. You can extend it by going walking around and spend a whole day over there if you wanted to. Total cost is about $8 to get over there, I think it is, 8 or 9 Australian dollars. So it's a pretty cheap way to have an outing for a day. I'd appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when we post new content. Thanks a lot. It really helps me out.